Hi there. My name's Isaiah, for those of you that may or may not know me already, and I just wanted to spend some time showing off one of my favorite recent tools in the AI space called Base44. So, honestly, you may have seen a lot of this before in different forms, but I think the way that Base44 combines it all together is really interesting. So, basically, it's a vibe coding tool. So think like V0, Lovable, Bolt, etc. But it also has a super agents feature, which I would say is more akin to OpenClaw or Hermes agent. And I think the most interesting part of this app is they can talk to each other. So let's run through a quick demo here. So let's say I want to build an app to track my mood over time. Just me accessing it, keep it accessing, God, keep it gated behind Google SSO. And we'll kick that off. And you can see it actually builds things fairly quickly. I would say it's maybe not the fastest agent I've ever seen work, but it definitely gets the job done fairly quickly. And then on future iterations, when you're just doing small revisions, I find it very fast and efficient. So you can see it gets to working, and while it's building out things, I can quickly show you some of the dashboard features. I guess I can't. Maybe we can only do that after the app is loaded. But anyway, you can see it's kind of working pretty standard UI. One thing, sadly, is the vibe coding side of it is missing dark mode, which is tragic, as we all know. But apart from that, it has all the basics you'd expect. You can attach files, you can use different connectors they have, get to that later, or possibly not in this video, but I might make another video about more with Base44. And you can see it kind of just went ahead and named it and made an icon for it. That is generally what it does unless you give it some prompting and just generates an AI image icon for it, which I think is interesting enough. At least it gives it some identity to the app before you have to set that up yourself. Whereas I always find it kind of annoying for V0. They put the V0 branding on every app, for example, in the favicon. But don't get me wrong, I love V0 too. It's a great tool. But anyways, so you can see it's actually working a little longer than I thought it would. Typically, I'd say its first turn on building an app goes faster than this, but that's fine. That is the fun and interesting part about doing live demos is you never know how it's going to go. So you can see it's just talking us through its process. One interesting thing I'm going to point out, or that I would point out quickly and not show you because it will take too long, is that it uses actually JavaScript, not TypeScript. So maybe a little not what you're expecting. So it's using JavaScript. It's writing its own database entities and stuff. So it's not using Supabase and Next, all the classic scaffolding you'd expect from V0, for example. But it's more kind of an all-in-one bundled platform. We can see this if we go to their marketing site, if they'll let me get to the marketing site when I'm logged in. Not app, just regular Base44, please. Regular. Nope, and it redirects me to app. That's very unhelpful. Base44 features. And it just chimed to let me know it's done, so that's great. Yes, so this is some of the dashboard stuff I wanted to show is that you can see there's a bunch of interesting ways you can manage it. So you can say, okay, this app is public. No, I think I want to restrict this app down to only people that are in my V0 workspace or my Base44 workspace. And then should be able, even if it's public, let me change it back, should be able to add, maybe not here, should be able to add Google authentication. Seems like they might have tweaked that recently, but let's try it out. So we can simply publish. Fun fact or not, it runs on render behind the scenes. So you might see some notes about render if you look at the domain settings very closely, but let's just name it my mood. This will probably be taken, but we'll try it. Okay, it's not. Again, Base44 is not the most well-known platform, so you can get away with some decent subdomains. And you can see sometimes the publish is super fast like that. Sometimes it takes more time. I think that's just something about their render. Okay, so it looks like Google SSO, and a nice thing here is that they just use their custom or their stock Google SSO, so you don't have to set up a new SSO configuration every time. So I think that's a nice feature personally. Obviously, if you're really for real releasing an app out into the wild, you should definitely do that. But yeah. Anyway, just gonna say my mood is amazing just to test this out. Loving Base44 and building apps with it. An update. You can see it seeded it with a bit of data. Let's see. But it looks like our data got in there just fine. And if I refresh the page, it should just stay. Yep, still got that. Thank goodness. Now, we can actually go back and kind of see some other stuff here. For example, if you want to browse through the data, go in here, you can see it's logged in a pretty clean format. There's definitely some fishiness around permissioning that I've found where this actually looks new. I haven't seen this before, that creators only can access their records. But you can generally that's turned off. So if multiple people logged in, they would see the same mood. Again, this really isn't, it's specifically for me, the platform I would use to build apps for a wide audience of people. I would say it's great to build just micro apps for yourself. So that's my impression. Anyway, so we've all seen a vibe coded app before. That's fun and exciting. However, what I want to show off a little more is how that kind of integrates with the super agents feature, which is kind of their new, more exciting one. So we're going to create a new super agent. And again, for anyone that's worked with something like OpenClaw or Hermes before, you will probably say this, oh, it looks pretty familiar. So here we go. Looks like we got that all set up. Let's see. Let's just start with your name is DemoBot, just to establish something. There we go. And you can see it remembers things. What can I help you with? It already knows my name because this is signed in with my Base44 profile. And yeah, here's what the real thing I wanted to show though, is you can say, look at my app, mood flow, and pull the mood data, analyze that for me. And you can see it's all connected to the broader platform. You can retrieve data from those apps, and it's working now. There we go. And yeah, that's really all I wanted to show. There's obviously more you can say here where there's memory. You can say, remember that I have a pet poodle named Hannah. It's true, I do. Which I know is a person name, but so be it. And yeah, there we go. So you can see working on it. So just like newish ChatGPT or more recent ChatGPT, it has agentic memory. That's interesting. It does not look like that worked that time. It's very interesting. Okay, interesting. So right. So there's two levels here where there are, not here actually. There is the basics of Demobot itself, which I cannot seem to find where those are saved right now. I assume it would be in memory, but it's not. Probably in customize or developer. No, don't look at that. Probably delete this since I just exposed my secret key there, but that's fine. Didn't need this bot anyway. Interesting. So it's not showing me the files that I wanted to show, but again, it has this usermd, solmd, just like OpenClaw would, all those things. So it's probably running OpenClaw under the hood. It just doesn't expose that. But I think the last feature I'll call out that I think is super nice about this is, again, similar to OpenClaw, you can connect it to messaging apps, so you can talk to it directly through there instead of going and logging into Base44. I love the fact they have an iMessage integration. It's not super hard to set up. I would say it maybe takes 2-3 minutes. So I highly recommend, if you're going to use this at all and you have WhatsApp, Telegram, or iMessage, to plug it in with those. So yeah, that's really all I want to show. What I'll do real quick is try to see if I can get to their site, which is to say, I do want to show just kind of what they talk about on their site, which I think is interesting. Okay, they've definitely changed their site since last time I looked, so changing everything. Yeah, but anyway, I do think it's interesting where, again, they have storage, they have databases. Something I didn't show is you can set up an AI integration in your app itself. So if you wanted to build a chatbot inside their platform, you could do that. They kind of do it all. Yeah. So it's nice and all in one. Again, if you're really serious about building for a wide audience, it's not the first place I'd choose. But if you just want to make small micro apps for yourself or a smaller community, I think it's a really great platform. Um, let's see. Probably the last thing, I keep saying it's the last thing, then I keep changing my mind. Last thing I'd want to show is just kind of how their pricing breaks down, which I think is kind of interesting gotcha, which is to say that if we look here at my usage, which I'm struggling to find, there we go. So me messaging the super agent uses credits, me talking to the vibe coding tool uses credits, and then integration credits basically what they call like user traffic. So the more users visiting it, the more spend. However, one downside is they are pretty pricey. Starter is 20 a month, and it just ramps up from there. And you see with Starter, you can't even do custom domains or anything. So those all kind of pushing people back to use the Base44 marketing, which is a little weird. But you can see it kind of caps out at this $200 tier. And even here, you're not getting unlimited anything. And there's literally no way, as far as I know, that you can buy more credits. So you can see even in there, they literally just say, oh, you literally just have to upgrade your tier. So not that I think it would be easy to hit the $200 tier or that most people would want to pay them $200 a month. But ultimately, if you're on your tier and you're not willing to move up another tier, you can't, then you have no way to buy more credits per month if you run out. So that is one feature I don't love about it, but it is what it is. And like I said, all in all, I think it's a really compelling, interesting, and powerful platform. So thanks for watching, especially if you stayed all the way to the end. I'm surprised if you did, but thank you. Have a good one.